Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation. It is Wednesday night, which means it's Cardiff City night. Let's go. Let's talk all things Cardiff City, but also the Championship. I'm sure we'll talk a bit of Wales as well, international front. But I'm open to questions for other stuff as well. If people want to talk about other subjects, bit of a free for all. But generally speaking, Wednesday night is Championship night. It is welcome Reese's mum. Welcome Reese. It is Championship night, Cardiff City night, whatever you want to call it. We're just going to talk some football. There's a bit of stuff to talk about on the Cardiff front, not loads, but a bit. So we'll have a little chat as always with the one man show. Please do get your questions in. Very, very dependent on the old interaction. There's been some news within the Championship as well, like Southampton got a new manager, a couple of signings here and there. Interesting. Here's one for you, slightly Cardiff as well. Watford have signed Rhys Healey from Toulouse, right? Rhys Healey last year, he joined Toulouse in the summer of 2020 and scored 11 in 19 games for MK Dons the season before. And then man was on fire last year. Scored 15 goals in his first season, 20 and 32 in his second, as they were promoted to League Earn. So, his question for you then, guys, right? Why are Cardiff not in for Rhys Healey? He knows the club, from the area, Welsh, blah, blah. Come back to the Championship, gone and played at different levels, League One, League Two, gone out to France in the second tier, done very, very well, tremendous scoring record. Watford, who finished 11th in the Championship, just 6 points outside the playoffs, they've got him for him, but us as his former club haven't. Doesn't make much sense to me, that. Now, maybe we did go in for him and he decided he didn't want to come back. I haven't seen no reports whatsoever. No reports to sort of say that we were interested. So I would assume we haven't been in for him. Like Reese makes a good point in the comments there. He says we didn't have a manager at the time this deal was done, but it might not suit the new manager's style. Yeah, I do get that, but I just think it doesn't say. I think it's an undisclosed fee, which is always. Oh no, it's a free. So that makes it even worse for me anyway, because I just think one of the things that Cardiff City lacked in abundance last year was goals. And there you've got a former player who's done his apprenticeship, if you like, playing in the lower leagues, gone abroad, scored goals, works hard, good finisher. He's gone to a rival, if you can even call him a rival, because I think they're already ahead of us because they're making moves. But hopefully now the manager's in, we will see some of those moves and stuff like that. Obviously, I've talked about Aaron Ramsey recently a lot, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. It looks like he is going to be sort of making a decision very time soon in terms of where he will play his football this season. Will it be Cardiff? Will it be elsewhere? I don't know. What was interesting over this past week, which was very painful for Welsh football fans, if you watched Wales, we did not learn our lessons from the World Cup. Slightly better in the second game, but even so, I think back in the Euros when Robert Page was sort of caretaker manager for Ryan Giggs, there was a few of us questioning him tactically, but it was kind of like, oh, it's a difficult job. He's not his team. He's stepping in. Got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Well, we're a couple of years on now. We failed in the World Cup badly, making some errors, and we've just lost to Armenia, who, let's be honest, at home, you could tell by their reactions, were not expecting to come to Cardiff and beat us. Depressing. And I think, look, I like Robert Page a lot, but you have to ask questions. Is he the right man? Is he tactically aware and is he tactically astute enough to get the best out of the Welsh squad that we have now? Got some cracking young players coming through. Ramsey coming to the end of his career. We've got some solid, experienced internationals like your Nico Williams and the centre backs and Harry Wilson. These are established internationals now. So is Robert Page doing the best? Is he the best man to get the best out of him? I guess I'm asking. I'm not saying he is, not saying he isn't. Asking the question. But back to my original point was a little ray of sunshine. A little ray of sunshine in the bleak week for Welsh football was Ruben Corwell. Sent a bit of a message to the new Cardiff City manager, scored 2 goals for Wales under-21s as they drew with Denmark. Had a very injury-hit campaign last season, and as I discussed last week with regards to Aaron Ramsey, if Aaron Ramsey does come into Cardiff, I would keep Ruben Corwell at the club. I wouldn't loan him out because I think he can learn off Ramsey. You also know Ramsey at best is going to play between 20 and 30 games. We're going to play between, hopefully, 40 and 50 if we have a decent cup run. So you need someone who can step into that sort of attacking midfield playmaker role. Ruben Corwell's young enough, got the talent to do it. He's not the main man yet, so there's not pressure on him that way. He's learning from a Welsh legend, Welsh captain. Perfect scenario. The most important thing is for him to stay fit and then show that he is what everyone believes he is. Because if you speak to anyone behind the scenes at Cardiff City, they will tell you Ruben Corwell is the next guy who's going to come from that academy and be a top-level footballer. But he's got to show it. And he, for various reasons, wasn't able to do so last year. Great way to start the pre-season, if you like, to end the season, whichever way you look at it. To grab a couple of goals, and by all accounts, the couple of people I spoke to watched some of the games said he was very, very good. Wales have never qualified for an under-21s Euros. They got a bit of a chance this time. It's going to be difficult, but I think it's there if they want it and if they can get the results. Matthew Angel says, if Robert Page was to go, Si, who do you see taking over? Well, if I was making a decision, mate, I would go with the real gigs, the proper gigs, the OG gigs, the man, Rhodri, proper, but no, it's a tricky one, mate, because don't think there's an obvious Welsh candidate. Maybe like like a Nathan Jones or someone like that, but it's a risk. It's a big risk. And this is the problem. I'd imagine Lorna says, Reese's mum says, do you think Gareth Bale will do his coaching badges and could manage in Wales in the future? It's my understanding that he's already done some of his badges, so I wouldn't be surprised if Wales get a bit of momentum after a horror start to this campaign to see him in the coaching setup in some form. If we continue with the level of performances over the last couple of days, or the last week, I don't think he'll touch it with a bard's pole, and he'll stick to playing golf and enjoying his retirement. And fair play to him. Why not? Reese says, Robert Page is tactically naive. His game management is poor. Ramsey cannot play the box-to-box role. Played narrow, deep against Turkey, and had Johnson play as a target man. It was absolutely shocking. So the other name I was going to talk about a manager was Osian Roberts, and that's what Kelly says straight away. She says Osian Roberts all day long. If you were putting him like a gun to my head and you said, right, Robert Page is going, you've got to pick someone now, I would probably go with Osian Roberts for the rest of this qualifying campaign. He knows the players know him. He's been very successful whenever he's been involved with Wales. He would be the guy. I would say, right, do it to the end of the campaign and then we'll discuss it. Because you never know like who's going to be available, who's going to stick out at that time. Things change, people change, things can happen. But he would be the guy if you were going to make a decision and say, right, Robert Page is not the guy. And it was like and bear in mind, this would mean that like the Welsh FA would be very decisive, maybe even trigger happy if they were going to get rid of Robert Page. But I think for the first time under his leadership now, questions are going to be asked of him because Wales were poor in the World Cup And there was an element of, happy to be there. First World Cup since 58, all the rest of it. And I understand that completely. The disappointing thing was for me was how some of the older players like Bale and Ramsey and stuff were managed in the World Cup. We didn't get the right players around them. On your comment, Reese, about playing Ramsey deep and the box-to-box role, look, let's say where it is. And I think I kind of touched on this last week in a way. Like Aaron Ramsey at the age he's at now, the injuries he's had, he is not a midfielder who's going to get up and back and run all day for you. He will try all day for you, but he's just not got it in him physically to be a box-to-box. I don't even think that you get the best out of him by playing him as a deep line playmaker. Maybe. I mean, maybe. I do like Ethan Ampadu as a CDM. So maybe you could play like a pivot of the two and have Ramsey as the sort of playmaker. But I actually think the best way to get Ramsey, the way to get the best out of Aaron Ramsey is to play him as a 10 attacking midfielder, whatever you want to call it, just behind the kind of strikers and link up with those wide players and Harry Wilson and Daniel James, whoever it's going to be. And then you play an Ampadu and someone else from deep. But they do seem to like Ampadu as a defender, so I can also, I also understand that as well. But Wales played too deep and narrow. Sorry, mate, I misunderstood what you said. But yeah, Wales played too narrow. They just made the same mistakes. Let's have a look. What was that comment I just saw? Someone said something. Let's go for looks. Reese says it's hard to judge Oscar Roberts. I think he's only been a manager once in the Welsh League. Seems to be a very successful guy behind the scenes. No idea what he's like to be as the main man. Ideally, Steve Cooper, but he wouldn't leave a Premier League job for the Welsh job. So, I don't think that's necessarily true. I'm not saying he would leave a Forest job for the Welsh job, but I think he's clearly a proud Welshman. If he got offered the Welsh job, would he turn it down, knowing that, if you lose, I've talked about a lot recently, if you lose sort of 5-6 games in the Premier League or at a top club job, you're out of a job. So there's no loyalty in it. They did stick with him last year, just about, but there was pressure on him. And, if he was to get off to a bad start next year, would he still be in the job at Forest? So, like I said, a lot of things can change very quickly. Going off subject, Matthew Angel says, has any more come out about Darren Moore leaving Sheffield Wednesday? So, yeah, that was a bit of a shocker. Sheffield Wednesday got him up. And look, he did an absolutely sensational job. Darren Moore did at Sheffield Wednesday, kind of really steadied them and to get them up from where they were after the first leg was just unbelievable. And to also do it after the racial abuse that he took straight after that game, and the abuse that he took for obviously, which was a heavy defeat to Peterborough. But he just pulled it out of the bag. The players clearly loved him. As far as I'm aware, nothing sort of further has come out about that. But we will have a little nose on the old Google machine now, see if anything further has come out. Do you know what, though, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out that he's not happy that more wasn't done in terms of that abuse. Because if you went on social media that week, it was very clear and prominent that he was being abused and there was things being said. And it wasn't just the kind of stereotypical bots and people with no profile picture. This was people who had names, Sheffield Wednesday fans in their bios and stuff like that. There was all sorts of abuse. Yeah, by his own fans, mate, it was. By people, because they got annihilated, didn't they? By, what was the score in the first leg? Someone will tell me now. I think it was 5-0 or something, 4-0. It was really, 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 really heavy defeat. My memory is just shocking. So 4-0, they lost the first leg. They were booed off the pitch, and there was all sorts of abuse going on because obviously at that point, those fans, and as most fans would think, that it's game over. You're 4-0 down against a team like Peterborough, who have been in the playoffs before, are very used to getting promotion, and they're kind of third proverbial up and down team from a championship to the League One to the championship. So, but it was a lot of Sheffield Wednesday fans, I suppose. It wasn't other fans abusing him about that loss, you know. It is what it is, but maybe that's the only reason that I could think of off the top of my head that maybe he wasn't happy with the club, didn't do enough to deal with that. I really don't know, because I've got to be honest, outside of that or him needing a break from football because he's had enough of it, I can't understand why they would want him to go. It does say it's mutual consent, and they've kind of it says both parties believe that now is the right time to go separate ways. They kind of speak very highly of him, and obviously that was sensational. I would like to see Darren Moore. I'd like to see him get an opportunity in the Premier League. I think if you speak to, I remember doing the shows with Andy, and Andy speaking so highly of him, and I remember guests speaking really highly of Darren Moore. Like, he is incredibly well thought of as a person, but also incredibly well thought of as a kind of as a football man, as a coach, and look, these are the people who should be getting these jobs. I don't want to go on another rant about the likes of Lampard and Gerrard and the rest who are like the new Mick McCarthy and co, who are just going to keep getting these jobs. There is managers out there who deserve chances to see if they can do it at the top level because they've done it in jobs consistently. And Darren Moore is someone I include in that. I think he deserves a chance. Matthew Inch says, unless he's been hunted by a bigger club. Reese says, anyone having issues with the stream? Can't see anyone else's message unless I refresh the page. Shows goes off all the time. I think that's a Facebook thing, mate. I don't know. No one else has said anything on Facebook or YouTube, mate. As you switched to YouTube, I could see anyway. The owner did a fans forum for 4 hours last night. Said they will decide who buys the club, not the manager. He just has to work with what they provide. I don't know. Is that there was a meeting with fans and the chairman said the manager will work with the players I provide for him. Something along those lines, suggesting the owner will buy players and not the manager. So Darren, right, got you. Sorry, I was a bit confused there. Right, so that would make a sense as well, because I think any manager worth their salt these days, if you've got owners or chairmen who are saying, we're going to sign the players, you, the manager. And I think this was an issue with Chelsea recently. I think that's the problem which Graham Potter had, is they just gave him a load of players, probably some which he didn't want. And then he's got to try and fit 30 players into a 20-man squad. And then the other thing is, like, I think, and that was just off on that subject of clubs and managers, when I see these reports of like the new Qatari owners, the United one, Mbappe and this and whoever, Neymar and whoever, like, if I'm Eric Ten Hag and I'm seeing that and they just plunk a load of these players on him, I'm going, mate, because the reason I'm going is because his job is results based. If he's any manager, Darren Moore, if he loses the first 5-6 games in the Championship, he's done. And then on his resume, he's sacked after 5-6 games from Sheffield Wednesday after they get promoted. So if I'm going to get sacked for results, or at some point you're going to get sacked for results because that's the way football is, then I want to do it with the players that I want in my squad. I'm picking my squad. I'm picking the players we want. And if that's not a thing that we can agree with between club and manager, then yeah, see you later, mate. Because there'll be football clubs who are looking at that now and going, "Ooh, Darren Moore, I'll have him." Research Sheffield Wednesday owner even said that Dan has not got a club lined up. That is, I got to say, that is absolutely shocking. I really have. I'm so shocked by it. Really am. Disappointed, but not surprised. It would probably be my reaction, just simply because it seems to be the way that football's going. Look at the thing with the owners of Newcastle investing in one of the majority shareholders at Chelsea, or the investment company which owns Chelsea, and then suddenly all these Chelsea players are going to Saudi which eases their financial fair play burden, and it's like, it's just, I don't know, football's just not what it once was. It's not a game of the people anyway, let's say. There was something else I was going to talk about. Swansea manager Russell Martin has become the new manager of Southampton. 37-year-old replaces Ruben Sellers, who left the club at the end of the season following relegation. Martin had guided the Swans to the 10th in the Championship last year, signed a 3-year deal at Southampton until 2026. Interesting, that is, because I think he did a pretty good job for them lot down the road. And I actually think that he had put the things in place to go quite strong this year for them, and probably look at trying to get in the playoffs, maybe even better, because they were very poor at the start of the year, and he got them playing the way he wanted to play. He got the players that he wanted, and I thought they looked second last part of the season. They looked together technically and as a team. I thought they were going to do quite well this year, so can't say I'm disappointed by that. But it looks like the Barnsley manager is going to be taking over down there. I forget his name. Michael something. I'm sure someone will tell me now, but it looks like he's going to take over, which will be a big blow to Barnsley. Gundogan going to Barcelona on a free. Mental. Barcelona is like the just epitomal crazy football club. They have no idea. That's naughty, isn't it? Reese just pointed out the move between Russell Martin and Southampton was delayed because if a Premier League club approached Swansea to get their manager, they get £2 million in compensation. But if a Championship made the approach, they only get 1.2 million, and so they waited until after the 20th of June, which is 21st today. Oh dear, because they're officially no longer a Premier League club. Look, this is what I'm on about, really, with football. Like, I understand from Southampton's point of view why they do that, right? But let's be clear. Southampton have got a couple of years parachute payments. They're not short of a few bob. Does that 800 grand make a huge difference to them? Will it make a difference? Not huge difference, but will it make a difference to the Jacks? Yeah, probably will. So you want their manager, you're taking their manager, pay the money, man. I don't care. It's Swansea, but like, if it was Cardiff, I wouldn't be happy with that, because it's like, I'd understand if Southampton were struggling financially, but they've got a few quid at the moment to not have to save 800 grand for the manager they want. If you want the manager that much, pay the cash, man. What else have we seen going on with Cardiff? Great to see Jamalu Collins back in for pre-season testing and training. He seems so positive. Like, he seems really grateful for the support he got from Cardiff fans and the club and stuff like that. I just noticed that Facebook comments have stopped coming in. Let me know if there's any issues with Facebook. Not that I can do a great deal with it, other than what I can say is just switch over to YouTube. I can drop the link in the comments if you need be. And I'll do that just now if anyone's having any problems. Right, just drop the YouTube link. But if the problems continue, I might kill the Facebook stream, and we'll just do it on YouTube, which was the plan anyway. Sol Bamba leaving Cardiff City is it's a sickener, because this is what I don't like about football Cardiff as well. So I'll use this as I can say this now, which I couldn't say maybe previously for obvious reasons. So every year, right, Cardiff will roll out the legends of the club to do PR, create content for their YouTube channel, blah 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 blah, and that includes some of the guys who have been with Ace Podcast Nation from the start, and when we were having like different footballers and ex-footballers and managers on every week with me and Andy, we contacted the club and said, can we have some players on? They said yes. Then they said no. They went back on it basically, because after like a week, and when we were trying to push for dates and arranging stuff like that, they said no, because we did a championship show which could be potentially critical of the club, even though we pointed out that they were separate shows, and the show on a Monday was for, you know, football guests and stuff like that. And so the thing which like kind of pisses me off, and I got to say it pissed me off, not Andy, but is they'll be very quick to hit him up to ask him to do X, Y, and Z for them. But then when we wanted not even a favor, we just wanted access to the players to interview them and stuff like that, it was like an issue. And it was like the reasoning behind it was weird, like, because we did a championship show which could potentially criticize the club or the players. Well, hang on a minute, isn't that what TalkSport is based on? Would you not do anything with them, or Sky, or PT, or whoever? And then also, like, the chairman of the football club comes on my channel like once or twice a year. Like, if he's happy to do it, then surely why would there be a problem with any of the players doing it? We're not looking to stitch them up, cause a problem. We just want to have a chat to them about football, about their careers, etc. So yeah, that was all a bit frustrating. Don't know how I got into that. Oh, it's the way they treat players. So Sol Bamba left again. They made such a big fuss showing him off, the big return, and then he was even linked with the manager's job. Like, people thought that he was going to be the guy who was going to take over the club. I didn't think that it was the right decision, but I could see the reasons for it. Even though I didn't feel like they were the right reasons, I could see why they were going to do it. He was certainly in the conversation. I think they certainly spoke to him about it, at least. And then it's just, yeah, nice one. Cheers. Thanks. Bye. Got a new manager in. Thanks for coming back for a couple of months. Uprooting your family, potentially. No loyalty, man, in football whatsoever. Matthew Angel says, thoughts on the new kit? Training, the kit looks good. No doubt, loads of coin. Yeah, so it's like football clubs just now, they just put a new kit every year, innit? Which, fine, I get it. I think they should have new kits every year. I just wish they'd make them more affordable. Like, you're looking at like 60 notes for like, at least for like a full kit. Like, I don't know what the kids ones are now, but I bet you that if to get a full kit for a nipper, because all my boys are a bit bigger now, they're all in adult sizes. But like, I'm imagining you're looking at least 50 notes for a kid for a full kit. And it's just like, if you're going to have a new kit every year, we all know there's a cost of living crisis. We all know that people are struggling and that, but we want these people to come and support the team and get season tickets and stuff. Surely we can as football clubs and on a whole, particularly in the Championship and the Premier League, you can't tell me that they couldn't charge 20 quid for an adult, 25 quid for an adult football kit, like adult shirt, and they'd still make money off it. So why are we trying to rip off our own people? Why are we trying to rip off our own fans? Arsenal's kit's like over 100 quid. Absolutely unreal. And they cock something up on it. Oh, Reece just said that. They cocked up the Invincible season score on the kit, so they had to recall them all. So yeah, I do. How do I feel about the new kit? It's all right. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. We've had worse kits. We've had worse kits, and I think it's all right. It's you would put it at the. It might grow on me, you never know, but it's all right. It's crazy, like the prices of the football kits. Reece says he spoke to someone in the Cardiff City store around March, April. They usually offer all the remaining stock of kit for a cut price, and they sell more a lot faster. I just think, right, Cardiff. Let's use Cardiff as an example. If you had those if the new Cardiff City shirt, right, was even just 30 quid, but I think 25 quid for the new kit. People, even if you did it for like a limited period, so say from now till the first pre-season game or something, 25 quid. If you get in now and you buy a ticket for the first pre-season game or the first league game at the same time, it's 30. All right, there you go. It's 30 quid for the new Cardiff top. But if you buy a ticket for the first league game of the season at the same time, it's 20 quid or 25 or whatever. And they would fly out, mate. They'd fly out. People want to buy the football kits of their team, but they just get priced out of it because ultimately, right, particularly in the kids' cases, kids grow out of that stuff so quick that you end up with football shirts either having to buy like a couple of sizes too big to make it last, or it's just they're out of it in a few months. It's just mental, absolutely mental. Yeah, I wish all football clubs would do more to make their kits more affordable, but it seems like the prices just go up every year. Like it's just crazy. Like, and you just wonder, it won't be long until, a few years, Cardiff City's shirt will be 100 quid. Like you can see it just with the way it goes up each year. Did the EFL fixtures come out today? Yes, they did. Let's have a little nose at the league fixtures, so you get my genuine reaction now to these, because I haven't seen them, I haven't looked at them, I don't know anything about them. Let's have a look at the fixtures. So are they out or not? They're not out, are they? Well, I said it was. Maybe I'm wrong. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Got all excited then. Was thinking I was going to get them. Like, what I might do is I'll try and avoid them tomorrow, and I'll do them on Thursday show. We'll have a little look. But going back to what I was saying about Jamalu Collins, was like reading about his return to preseason and his generally how he's feeling, his reaction and stuff. He seems genuinely touched by the support he's got from fans from the football club, because he was 4 or 5 games in, I think 4 games in to like his debut season at Cardiff. He's been made a really, really strong start, really exciting, looked like the real deal. Obviously 4 games in, just getting a bit of momentum, and then bang, like the worst possible injury you can get really from a footballer's point of view. And in so many cases over the years, those types of knee injuries are the end of the career. So hopefully, he can come back and find that form that he found early in his Cardiff career, because I think he'll be a massive, massive asset to us. And I think even though he only played a couple of games at the start of the season, I think we missed him. And I think in the video which I did a few weeks back, where I was talking about who Cardiff should sign on a free, That's why I wanted to get Joe Bennett in, was to give Jamalu time and support and have someone who's very capable to sort of ease him back into it, because the worst thing you can do with a dodgy knee is try and rush it back. I really do hope that we can push on. He can push on, because I think there's a real player there. Really, going back to Ruben Corwell, I'm delighted to see him grab a couple of goals, because I just think it's clear there's a player there. And it was really like Cardiff had a decision to make. I think I named last week's Cardiff show the Ruben Corwell conundrum, because I feel like they have got a decision to make with him. And if he's not going to be in a position to play 20 games this year for Cardiff, majority starts, like, he needs to go on loan. And I still believe that, and I stand by my assessment, that if we sign in Aaron Ramsey as like an attacking midfielder, and we're not going to try and turn him into some sort of CDM, then I would then keep Ruben Corwell, because I think Ruben Corwell's guaranteed to play a good amount of games from the start, because Aaron Ramsey cannot possibly play every league game twice a week, etc., plus cup games. So there's a lot of games there for Ruben Corwell. And also, but then if Ramsey's not coming in, and we're going to sign, say we just pick up a number 10 who's like 27, 28, who is capable of playing 90% of the games, then I think Ruben Corwell's got to go on loan. He's got to. But how frustrating and how typically Cardiff would it be, right, if we signed a number 10 and we're talking at Christmas, we loan out Ruben Corwell, we sign like a 27, 28-year-old number 10 from wherever, and we're all talking at Christmas about how number 10 has got no assists, 1 goal, we're lacking creativity, and Ruben Corwell's on loan at wherever, and he's got 8 goals, 5 assists, 10 assists, and it's just like typical. It's just pure Cardiff. That's what will happen. However, I think Cardiff owe it to the player as well. We just said about no loyalty in football. I think Cardiff owe it to the player, and if he's not going to be getting a good amount of starts this year, then get him out on loan to the right place. Not to, with the greatest of respect, not to like a Welsh League side, not to Haverfordwest, not even to Newport. He has to play League One at the lowest, I think, and go somewhere which is going to look after him. Speak to them, speak to the manager, speak to the coaching staff, ask them what their plans are for the player, and make a decision on what club is going to give him the best football, going to look after him, and really push him on, because there is a player there. So let's help that player come to fruition. Oh, don't even. Reece says Ruben Corwell needs to play number 10, but he needs proper wingers offering width out wide. Too often played number 10 and the wingers are narrow and you just get crowded out in the box. Yeah. So you're exactly right, mate. Like, for a number 10 to be effective, they drift into the gaps which are created by the strikers pressing, the wingers all running in behind if we've got the ball, the wingers being out wide, and then the fullbacks have to pick the wingers up, the centre-backs have to pick the strikers up. You'll have like a box-to-box midfielder, or at least a midfielder who's going to push on. They're getting picked up, and then it creates those little pockets of space where you want your number 10 picking up the ball on the half turn, looking for little balls around the corner, looking for balls inside the fullback, looking for balls over the top, whatever it may be. That's when you're going to get the best out of Aaron Ramsey and Ruben Corwell. So if we are going to sign Aaron Ramsey, that's what you've got to do. Have those two as your number 10 options. You need 2 out-and-out wingers, and then you have, assuming that we're playing like a 4-2-3-1, a good striker who can hold up the ball and get in behind. You need a good holding midfielder who's got legs. If I could pick anyone, and a bit of a dream signing, and like, it won't happen. It's not. He won't even be available to Cardiff. My dream scenario would be to have Ethan Ampadu on loan and play him as our CDM, because the energy and the passing he's got would be exceptional. And then you stick someone in there alongside him who has got vision for days, whether that's like an Oliver Norwood Reese you could put in there. But there's a few others knocking about who've got the ability to do it. You could play who could you play through to up top? I mean, Isaac Davis. Is Isaac Davis gonna start for Cardiff City this season? If the answer is no, like Isaac Davis has a full preseason, and I highly rate Isaac Davis, but if he has a full preseason and he's ready to go fitness wise, he's at 100%. Is he going to start for Cardiff City? Difficult to say at the moment because you don't know who the manager is going to bring in, don't know who he's going to be able to bring in. So it is difficult for us to predict. But let's be honest with ourselves. Is he going to start for Cardiff if he's 100% fit and ready and raring to go? If the answer is no, is it better that he goes to a League One side, plays 30, 40 games, and has a full season of men's football playing week in, week out, and bags himself 12, 15 goals, shows what he can do, gets used to playing that 2 games a week and stuff like that, and then comes back to us at the end of the season ready to play Championship football? I just don't know. Isaac Davis should... Yeah, he's at 100%. He's ahead of Mark Harris for me. Mark Harris does work very hard. But to me, Isaac Davis has got the potential to be a genuinely quality footballer and a good Championship player. But at the age he's at, obviously he's coming back from injuries. He's got to play. And it's not quite the same scenario as Ruben Corwell, I don't think. But like, these boys got to play. So I said, like, just the club owe it to Ruben Corwell to be truthful in their assessment of what is likely for him this year. If the manager doesn't fancy him and he doesn't see it, doesn't think they're ready, whether he doesn't think they're ready physically or whatever, like, send them out on loan. I wouldn't sell Ruben Corwell or Isaac Davis now. I wouldn't, because I think they're one season away from getting you like anything from 5 million up. One good season from either, and you get a load of money from them. Or they just have good seasons for you, season in, season out. But they got to play. They're at that age. They got to play. They've got to start. They've got to play football. So then it's up to the managers, the football club, to be truthful and be truthful in their assessment. Obviously, Isaac has got good advice in Danny Gabbs looks after him. But I just hope to see, I hope both of them can fulfill their potential, because I think potentially they are stars for Cardiff City. They won't be if they just continually sit on the bench, play 5 minutes here and there. You just can't do anything with that. You just cannot do anything with that. Reese says Isaac Davis plays ahead of Mark Harris for me. Depends on who gets brought in, but he works his balls off. Pacey, no fear, runs at defenders, exactly what you'd want. Yeah, spot on, mate. The fitness coach was a big issue last season. The amount of times players would pick up muscular injuries in training or during the recovery was shocking. Glad they changed the staff in that department. Yeah, you got to, like, I think people underestimate the need for proper recovery, particularly like when you're playing Saturday, Tuesday, or Wednesday every week, or most weeks. Like, there's no time for recovery. There's no time for training in between. It should be recovery and tactical, like preparing for the next team. What's the tactical plan, etc. I wonder if we were just pushing too much on that physical side of it. I don't know. Just hypothesizing that maybe they were being pushed in between those games, and it's just too much. And then when you've got players coming back from long-term injuries, they're always going to pick up niggles and stuff if you don't do it gradually. Matthew Angel says 80 to 90 quid for a full kit for my boy with a name on the shirt, and he's 7. That is obscene. Absolutely obscene. And that goes exactly what I said in that football clubs owe it to the fans. Like, Cardiff won a full stadium. No one could afford tickets because they've spent 100 quid on flipping kits for their kids. Say you got 2 kids, it's 200 quid. 3 kids, 300 quid. Maybe you want to get a shirt for yourself and your 3 kids. It's like best part of 400 quid for kits before you bought a season ticket, before you bought tickets, before you bought food on match days and drinks. Absolutely obscene. Just going back through. Reece says, did you watch the Pep masterclass? He says, wingers stay wide. They have to stay wide because it drags defence out of position and opens up spaces. Yeah. The only way you... so there's... I could obviously completely agree with that. The only way that it also can... You can do it with kind of inverted wingers or narrow wingers is by doing what Pep and... who else does it? Ten Hag, I think, does it. And also, I think Arsenal did it a bit as well. And Liverpool did it as well. Is by having a strong defender at the back who you trust to sort of defend alone. So then the one of the centre-backs pushes into midfield as another holding midfielder. And then your 2 full-backs push right up as de facto wingers. And then you have the overlap. But then what it does create is a lot of bodies in the middle of the pitch. So whilst that works for the technical quality that a Man City have got, or like Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro, or the Arsenal players, or Trent Alexander going forward, like they're all technically awesome players. So they can play in tight spaces, they can play in crowded areas and move the ball quick and move the ball around and recycle it and get it out to the wide players. I would argue that Cardiff, because we play so narrow, you then just get congested, too many players in the same areas, and then your number 10, who's the one you want finding those pockets, you can't find pockets of space, so he just drops deeper and deeper and deeper. The game gets slow. Your game gets slowed down, and you just stood on the halfway line, passing it side to side until you play a long ball to Connor Wickham or whoever you've got up front and hit and hope. And we see it too often, unfortunately. So the fitness coach was a rugby coach last season, Reece said, which can't imagine helps a great deal. Yeah, it's different types of fitness in it, and I think playing those 2 games close together every week is a big thing in terms of recovery, and I think sometimes, yes, football, you got to have these fit players who can get up and go box to box and play and play and play, but you've also, if you've got players who are carrying knocks, they're more likely to, what do they call it? They call it the red zone or something like that, don't they? Like you're more likely to pick up injuries. If you're carrying a knock, you're more likely to pick up a muscular injury in the recovery period after a game. So that's when you've got to look after that side of things. Let's have a look. Kids' season tickets are brilliant value, mind, Matthew says. Yeah, so I do get that, and I I'm sure there's all like different clubs do different offers to get the fans in. My point, Matt, is that football clubs could sell those shirts for 25 quid for a shirt and still make money. Because I'm telling you, there's no way that when you break down how much Cardiff City pay for the stock of those shirts or pay the cost of making those shirts, it doesn't cost that much. They're made abroad. They're not the best materials, blah, 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 sweatshops, all the rest of it. No need to charge such prices to your people, by the way. You know, these football clubs, who are they charging? They're charging their fans, their own fans, the same people they want in the ground. You want people in the ground? Give them a reason. Whether that's a financial reason of, look, you can come watch us for cheap. You can buy the kit for cheap, and we want you in the ground. We want you there. The food's good. The drinks are good. Feed your kids, blah, blah, blah. Or whether that's because you're doing well on the football pitch. Reese says, when you play 4-2-3-1, you play the ball-winning midfielder, allowing a midfielder and two centre-halves to cover at the back, allow the full-backs to push forward. Yeah, and like I say, there's different ways, isn't it, to get the number overload in the midfield, to get that width. But ultimately, if your wingers play high and wide and they stay high and wide, and even if they do drop back to support the fullbacks, they're still staying wide. So when the wingers come back to help the fullbacks out or double up on the opposing wingers, they're still not they're still wide. You just create a bigger pitch, and it makes the opponents more tired. It makes the players more difficult to pick up, and also creates the defense and the holding midfielders of your opponents. The holding midfielder has to come across to cover the space. So if you get an overlap with if you've got your winger high and wide, and then your left back either overlaps or comes up the inside, the holding midfielders has to come across, which creates a space for the number 10. And that's what we're talking about, is trying to get these. If you're going to play a number 10, you're going to play a 4-2-3-1 and have a number 10 of the quality of a Aaron Ramsey and the potential quality of a Ruben Corwell. The rest of the system has to fit them to allow them to find those pockets of space. And also, you have to have the players behind them to push up and have the legs. There's no point in, I'll say it again, there's no point in signing Aaron Ramsey if we're going to put 2 30-year-olds in midfield with him. Look at the comments just as we start to wrap up. Last season, our wingers played far too narrow, crowded in the middle of the pitch. Fullbacks were only width we had. Couldn't go far with the ball as they were all constantly closed down. Yeah, and then that's when you end up just going side to side and on the halfway line between your defenders until you put a long ball to the edge of the box. Just basically a hit and hope. Off topic, Tommy Tornado says off topic a bit, but what do you think of the Welsh national team at the moment? Do you think Page is the right man for the job? Tommy, I'm going to assume you missed the start of the show, but we'll go back to it just for you, my friend. We did talk about it a little bit, and I said, to kind of paraphrase, basically, I said, in the Euros, when Robert Page kind of came in and he had Giggs' team, it was a no-win situation or no-lose situation in terms of we weren't great, but it wasn't his team. He was stepping in for someone else on short notice. So everyone was kind of like, yeah, okay. He did a good job under the circumstances. Then the World Cup just gone. We were shit. But you also had the element of first World Cup since 1958. It's great to be there. We're finally there. Let's all enjoy it. Of course, there's that aspect to it. But on the pitch, we were shocking. We made the same mistakes in every game we played. And the way I look at it, I didn't watch the Armenia game in full. I only seen the highlights. But everything which I saw, we're making the same mistakes that we made in the World Cup. The same errors that we made in the World Cup. I think Robert Page is tactically naive at best. If I was going to be, I don't want to be critical of him because I do like him, but I'm a proud Welshman. I don't want to be that guy who's like just slagging everyone off and being negative. I think he's naive at best and not good enough at worst. It's Reece, me and you talked during the Euros. I think it was actually just before the Turkey game. We were talking on one of the shows and we were all talking about it. We were previewing the shows with, I think it was Gilo. And it's just in the games, he's too slow to change things. And when he does change it, it's kind of very lackluster. It's always like a like for like substitution, or he never seems to want to change. We don't seem to have a plan B is one worry. So just very quickly, I'll say, like, one of the things we've been working on with my boys under 15s team, and we're going to be working on because we just got promoted, is we want to have a plan B. So we play like basically like a 4-2-3-1 or whatever, or 4-1-4-1. Basically, we want to have in our back pocket a 3-5-2, so that if we need to like change things up a little bit more width, bit more control on the ball, we've got another formation in our back pocket that we can go, right, this one player is coming on the pitch for a sub, but we're switching to plan B. And all the players will know exactly where they got to go, exactly what they got to do. And it's an instant change without having 4 players going, oh, what am I going here? Or you going there? And we know that's plan B, go, this player's on, boom. And Wales haven't got a plan B. With the players that we have in that squad, we should, at the very bare minimum, have a plan B. Because, all right, we lost Gareth Bale. It's going to hurt anyone. Of course it is, right? But the majority of this isn't Wales of the 90s, early 2000s, which is full of like League One and League Two players. These are Premier League players. Some of them play around Europe. Like, these are top level footballers. I'm not saying they're elite footballers, but they are top level footballers. They're Premier League footballers, and we're just not. So is it the players? Right. Let's right. Tell you what, we'll quickly go through the Turkey game. Right. This is the Wales Online ratings for it. We'll kind of go through like the players, where they're playing, stuff like that. So you had Brennan Johnson played a lone striker role. As far as I'm aware, he does not play that role for Nottingham Forest. But you know what he does exceptionally well for Nottingham Forest is he plays wide or plays off a striker, gets on the ball a bit deeper and runs at people and causes havoc. And he has had a tremendous season, to the point where the likes of Manchester United, Liverpool, etc. are having a look at him, and Forest are trying to bat him off and keep him for a bit longer. I know Kiefer Moore was suspended. I get it, so it may have been a necessity. But straight away, Brennan Johnson, out of position, and you're never going to get the best out of him in that way. He's good at what he does, very good at what he does. So let's make sure he's in the right positions. But he's a top level. He's just coming off the best season of his career, playing in the Premier League. Daniel James. Now, you know what you're going to get with Daniel James. But he's a Premier League footballer. He used to play for Manchester United. He's played for Swansea. Played for Leeds. Plays for Fulham now. Had a pretty good season. Every time I watched him for Fulham, he was very good. The one problem with him is his composure. You can always seems to get these one-on-one chances, but it doesn't put him away. But you know what you're going to get with him? He'll run and run and run. He's fast as hell. Are we utilizing his skills? I don't think we are. The players did look knackered. But I bet you if we'd gone 1-0 up against Turkey, they would have not looked knackered. It's a momentum thing as well. Aaron Ramsey, he played more advanced against Turkey. Obviously dropped deep then because Morale was sent off. Came off. He doesn't look. Aaron Ramsey does not look fit. which is weird because he did play quite a few games for Nice this year. So he should be, like, he might be tired, but he should be like 100% fit. Harry Wilson, same, coming off an incredible season for Fulham. So all those players there, Harry Wilson, Aaron Ramsey, Daniel James, Brennan Johnson, right? All playing in a top European league. All played a good amount of games this year, so we're not like, coming back from long-term injuries, stuff like that. In Harry Wilson and Brennan Johnson's case, coming off the best seasons they've had as footballers, Daniel James, if anything, has had like a really good season, but he hasn't played that many games, so he should be super fit because he's come off the bench a lot for Fulham. Ethan Ampadu, Nico, I'm just going to quickly run through these. Ethan Ampadu, Nico Williams, both coming off great seasons. And then like Connor Roberts, Meepham, Joe Roden, Joe Morrell, they all worry me. All of them worry me. Will Volks should be in this Wales squad. I do not get it. I agree with you. Hopefully Lockyer will be back. I do like him. You're right there, Reese. I am at the point with Wales, like if we don't get a result in the next couple of games, so when they have the next break where they play 2, to me, I'm almost at the point where I'm like, right, we need to get some of these under 21s in there and start blooding them. And we just look like we haven't got any legs. Personally, Ethan Ampadu in the middle of midfield is the first name I'm putting on there. And then we go around there. Tommy Tornado, right? Last question, because I got to go. But Tommy Tornado says thoughts on Paul Mullen. Wow, that's an interesting one. So let me put a question back to you then, Big Tommy. What about this? With Kiefer Moore suspended, playing a 4-2-3-1 that we kind of play, would Paul Mullen have done a better job than what Brennan Johnson did? Not a criticism of Brennan Johnson, by the way, because Brennan Johnson was played out of position. He should have been one of the 3 behind. Would Paul Mullen have done a better job as a striker on his own? Right, quick, let's have a look at these questions. Do I think players look tired after the long season as an excuse? I do think they look tired, but I also think in some cases it's a bit of an excuse because, like I said, for instance, Daniel James played a lot of his games from the bench this year, and a few of them have had great seasons, so they should be bouncing. The Fisherman, good to see you back, my friend. Says, Robert Page, nice bloke, but should have left after Qatar. That, like I said, I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, he's shit, he's this, he's rubbish, he's got to go, they're all got to be sacked. I don't like being that guy. Not just about Wales, about anything generally. It's not me, but that's how I felt. I felt like it was the right time for a bit of a transition with Bale leaving as well. I felt like it was the right time. Reese just says, totally agree. Slow to make changes. USA World Cup. Rambo was shattered after 40 minutes. By the 60th, he was gone, and we got back 1-1. USA made 5 subs. We didn't make any. Fresh legs would have killed them off. Yep. And we had pace on the bench, mate, as well. Tommy Tornado said, Armenia game, I was so disheartened. I was resigned for the Turkey game, so it didn't hurt as much. Yeah, Turkey are a very good side technically, and they got some real top, they got Champions League footballers playing for them. So if you're not good enough or you're not set up well enough, you're going to struggle. And I thought we defended okay for the most part in that game, but then it just, they had too much. Just one of them things. So I asked the question, would Paul Mullen have done a better job up front than what Brennan Johnson did as a sole striker? Tommy Tornado says, no, I don't think so. Reese says, why not? We got friendlies coming up, worth a shout. With Kiefer Moore out, worked hard enough, give him a cap. Might turn out to be a great deal. Robert Page said he needs to score in League 2. Well, he did that with Cambridge already. Give him a chance in a friendly for sure. Look, it's a no-lose situation. If Paul Mullen comes in, right, and in the camp is just not not up to the speed, not up to the standard. Great. All right. He's had a good experience. Thanks for coming. Appreciate your time. See you later. If he comes in and he's like, oh, hello, there's a player there. He's pretty good. Give him a chance in the friendly. Oh, he's bagged a couple of goals. Great. You found yourself like, it's weird, isn't it? Because it's Wrexham and they're so worldwide like name now, isn't it? It doesn't feel like a secret. But from a Welsh football point of view, it's like they probably wouldn't give him a chance if it wasn't for Wrexham. So it feels like a bit of a hidden gem. But like, I would give him a chance in a friendly. I'm not saying that he'll work. I would give him a chance because it worries me that if Kiefer Moore can't play because he's injured or suspended, we're going to look to play Brennan Johnson through the middle on his own. He's not. I just don't think his game's not. That's not what his game's about. And also, I just think physically playing that 4-2-3-1, you need your central striker to be able to hold the ball up and link up with the wingers and the number 10. And all right, yes, if you could get Aaron Ramsey in the right positions, you can have Brennan Johnson running in behind. But I don't think at this stage of his career, his hold-up play is good enough to play as a sole striker. And I think you lose what he gives you playing in the three behind the striker. Like, he's been absolutely superb. Right. Guys, as always, I really appreciate you. I'll be back tomorrow night talking a bit more general football as opposed to Cardiff and Wales. But please do, if you just want the Cardiff stuff, please do join me next Wednesday. Probably be on Monday as well. But Cardiff is Wednesday night. Thursday is general football night. So tomorrow night, Thursday. And then Saturday, we got a new episode of My Story with Welsh boxer Kieran Gethin. And it's a good one. Reese very quickly says, Tyler Roberts is good. It isn't good enough. We haven't got very many options. At this rate, I'd play Isaac Davis. But on that, mate, right? Get Isaac Davis and get Paul Mullen in the squad for the friendlies. And you got to play them. There's no point in bringing them into the camp and then they just sit on the bench and then come on for 5 minutes. Give them, like, friendlies don't matter. No one cares. No one wants to watch them anyway. In fact, I'm more likely to watch a Welsh friendly if Isaac Davis is playing or if Paul Mullen is playing than I will otherwise. It will be wholly avoidable otherwise for me. I hate friendlies. So there you go. Guys, as always, it's wicked to see you all. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for joining in. I'll put the audio version out shortly through the Sports Social Podcast Network. Thank you to them, as always. Thank you to Violet Money and all the people who support the channel. If you haven't already, sign up, patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. You could support the channel, become a member for the price of a coffee per month, £2, and it keeps the channel going. Allows us to go in the studio and interview boxers and rappers and footballers and all the rest of it. But God bless. Have a good evening. Love you all. Wicked.